The Watership Down Podcast is intended for listeners who are familiar with the plot. There will be spoilers. This episode is scripted, narrated, recorded and edited by Newell Fisher. Hello, and welcome to the Watership Down Podcast episode 222, in which we'll be going through chapter 13 of the graphic novel, Fear in the Dark. First though, there is some fairly important borough keeping this week. As I mentioned in the last episode, the podcast reached its 5th anniversary on March 15th, which is a real achievement. At the time of that anniversary, I was still embroiled in trying to get the lost episodes back after Spotify took them down for no good reason. Well, in the last week, I've decided to cut loose from Spotify entirely after it became clear that they had effectively deleted those episodes. As a result, this podcast is now hosted on rss.com as part of their free local and niche package. The lost episodes have been re-uploaded and clearly marked as such, which is important because this means the episodes of this podcast are no longer all in date order. It is the registered episode numbers that are now the only indication of the correct sequence. Unfortunately, one effect of re-uploading is that you will have had the re-uploaded episodes suddenly all download via your podcast platform at one go, which couldn't be avoided. Hopefully I've just explained why that happened. Basically, they are all treated as new episodes. Apart from that, for most of you, none of the above should make any difference to your experience of this podcast, but just in case it does, if you have any issues, try unsubscribing then resubscribing. I will also include the new RSS feed URL in the notes. Next, in order to mark the 5th anniversary of this podcast, I've started a petition on change.org to have Fiver, or at the very least a rabbit, put on the new Bank of England £5 note, following a public vote to replace famous historic figures such as Churchill and Jane Austen with British wildlife. The whole idea was partly inspired by @DuncanMoart on Threads, who has made two mock-ups of a £5 note, one with Ella Hrar from the 1978 film, and the other, by popular request, with Fiver. These have been posted to the Honeycomb group on Facebook as well as the two Watership Down fan groups, and the Fiver version is being used as my profile cover to mark the 5th anniversary. Will this petition succeed? Probably not, but let's have some fun trying. The coincidence of the £5 note being referred to as a fiver here in the UK is too funny to my twisted British sense of humour not to at least give this a go. These kinds of shenanigans are very much in the spirit of the public vote here in 2016 to name a new polar research ship Boaty McBoatface. Please sign and share the petition regardless of where you are based in the world. The link, of course, will be in the notes. Anyway, let's return to our favourite down, where something terrifying is about to arrive. The graphic novel, Chapter 13. Fear in the Dark. Chapter 13 of the graphic novel has 14 pages and covers Chapter 19, Fear in the Dark, from the original novel, which has 9 pages, as well as the first 4 pages of Chapter 20, A Honeycomb and a Mouse. And yes, I have double-checked those numbers this time, meaning that this chapter takes 1 page more than the original to tell the same part of the story. We see the group of 11 rabbits apparently at the summit of Watership Down, as Silver and Blackberry exchange words that give the belated credit to Fiver for finding this place that Hazel gives him in the novel. Hazel calls to Pipkin, who is last to arrive. Dandelion says that Hawkbit has found some deserted rough holes. Unlike in the novel, these seem to be at the top of the down rather than on the scarp slope, a device that saves narrative time in this version. Hazel tells Buckthorn to come with him so he can look after his rat bite in one of the burrows. It is later underground. Buckthorn thanks Hazel for his leadership. The rabbits sleep underground contentedly, safe for the first time in a while. Blackberry goes above ground to Silflay. While sniffing one of the strange new downland plants, he is joined by Hazel. They discuss what a new environment this is to get used to. Hazel has also tried digging further into the burrows they have found, but they have hit the shallow white chalk that is never far below the surface on downland, as I know all too well, having a downland garden. Blackberry says the burrows would have been very cold in winter. It's no wonder they were deserted. Hazel asks Blackberry for ideas, and it seems he has one that he would like to share with the group. We see the beach hanger clearly for the first time. Over the page, Blackberry, Hazel and Bigwig are in amongst the trees, along with Strawberry. Blackberry explains how the tree roots will have broken up the ground, meaning they can dig deeper burrows here, and indeed, in established woodland on downs, the soil can be deeper simply for the presence of trees. However, Hazel wants to do more. He mentions the great burrow at Cowslip's Warren that was not commented on at the time. He admired its size as it allowed everyone to gather together, but Bigwig points out that the roof starts to cave in if you make a burrow too large. It is Strawberry's moment. Up to now he has been the desperate, tired refugee from the Warren of the Snares who they decided to forgive for not warning them of the danger there. But he knows about the great burrow and how it was made. The fine roots of a tree can help keep the roof up, while the thicker roots are left in place to take some of the load, acting like columns. Bigwig asks if they will get in the way. Yes, they will a bit, but they also make a burrow warmer and help conduct sound from above, Strawberry explains. Hazel is full of praise for Strawberry, who beams at this. At last he is of some use to this group to whom he owes so much. It is evening now. The sun is setting. A burrow is taking shape at the foot of one of the trees in the hangar. Bigwig comments to Hazel that he never saw himself digging burrows, a reference to the fact that they are usually dug by does. Hazel says they have made good progress, but now they should stop and go to the foot of the hill to eat some of the best grass. We see 4 rabbits in the early dark feeding at the base of the down. Hazel says they should go back up as owls will be out soon. In the novel they are Hazel, Bigwig, Dandelion and Speedwell. Here Speedwell is probably replaced by Acorn. Then suddenly they all look in the same direction. They rush under cover. Hazel says it sounded like a stoat or a homber or fox. Bigwig says they would have smelled a homber even downwind. And then there is a terrible loud cry. Bigwig asks what could have made such a noise. Hazel suggests a wounded cat, but Bigwig is having none of it. He has realised what it is, something their mothers have told them about. Hazel tells him to stop talking like that, but Bigwig says it can't be anything else. And then there is another loud cry, only this time there are words. Zorn, Zorn, all dead. All their eyes go wide in a way we have only seen from Fiver so far. It is a terrifying moment. Without even hearing his name yet, Bigwig knows that this terrible creature is the Black Rabbit of Inlay. And then, as is to confirm this, the Black Rabbit calls his name Thlaily twice. Acorn's eyes are squeezed shut. Bigwig says you have to go when he calls you. He begins to move forward, but Hazel isn't having it. He tells Bigwig to stay put. They are not losing him again. This almost confirms that Bigwig assumes the Black Rabbit has come for him because he should not have survived being snared. Hazel says he is going to see for himself what kind of rabbit it is. In a page with only 3 frames, the shot moves away from Hazel as, isolated in open ground in the dark, he asks who's there and to show themselves. His speech bubble is spiked at first, then shaky as his nerve begins to fail. In the 3rd frame, he says nothing. And then we see it. Under the edge of some undergrowth is a creature that it seems at first cannot be a rabbit. But what is it? It is one of the most effective drawings in the whole graphic novel, in my opinion, deliberately placed at a page turn so that it takes us by surprise. Hazel stares. He is joined by Dandelion. Hazel approaches the creature, and we see that it is a rabbit, a blooded rabbit with its right ear draped awkwardly over its face. Hazel recognises who it is immediately. It is Captain Holly of the Sandalford Owsler. Holly stares back at Hazel in seeming disbelief. Bigwig and Acorn join them. Bigwig can't believe it. Hazel says he's in a terrible state. Acorn wonders if he has been following them since they left Sandalford. That would be quite a pursuit. Holly recognises Thlaily. Bigwig asks him what happened. We see a bird of prey above them in the dark. Hazel says they had better get back, but Dandelion has seen someone else. Another rabbit emerges nervously from the undergrowth asking for their help. He is also in bad shape, though not as bad as Holly. Dandelion recognises him as Bluebell, who is visually portrayed here as arriving at Watership Down with Holly for the first time. Bigwig, probably due to Bluebell having also been Owsler, asks how many more there are. Bluebell says there are no more and starts to explain, but Hazel interrupts, pointing out that injured rabbits smelling of blood won't last long at night. Dandelion points out that Holly can barely move. Bluebell interrupts with a joke. Hazel says this is no time for that, but Holly says he would have died long ago without Bluebell's constant talking. He asks how far they have to go. With Hazel leading, the two weak and injured rabbits are escorted up the scarp slope. Dandelion reassures Holly there is not far to go. Bluebell, in his other ear, continues the barrage of bad jokes. Bigwig catches up with Hazel. He tells him that Bluebell should survive. But Captain Holly is a different matter. He may stop running, the rabbit euphemism for dying. We see a single small frame of the Downs at night. Comparison with the book. In this retelling of the story, the rough holes that first shelter the rabbits when they first arrive on Watership Down are apparently at the top of the down, though there is still reference to Hawkbit finding them. Their poor quality makes the arrival of the whole group at the top of the down less positive at first in this version. This also means that the beach hanger is therefore not discovered immediately they reach the top. Strawberry's explanation of how to dig a great burrow happens before the arrival of Holly and Bluebell, rather than after in the following chapter. And, in a subtle change to the original, Bigwig thinks the Black Rabbit has come for him before even hearing his name. Possibly this is justified because he survived being snared. Hazel certainly seems to understand this, given his reaction, where he says they are not losing him again. This is an interesting addition to the original, not to say a change. A good, if rare, subtle example of a retelling of this story arguably improving it. Next time, Hazel saves a mouse.